Excuse me, sir. Would you like another hot take?
Yeah, definitely. Keep them coming.
How is it going, everyone? Let's go ahead and jump right into our hot takes. Hot take number one. Justin Jefferson, with him losing his elite quarterback, I'm actually going to slot him into the back half of the first round. I still think he has immense upside, but think of players like A.J. Brown and things like that that were kind of sliding in that 1-2 turn. I know he's still Justin Jefferson and he is pretty much quarterback proof, but I think there's players to take ahead of him. CD Lamb, maybe even someone like Puka Nacua. But that's what I'm doing is I'm sliding Justin Jefferson to the back half of the first round. Next up, Kyle Pitts. Talking about the quarterback that Justin Jefferson lost. This is it, Kyle Pitts. This is it, okay? Are you the man with all the talent that everyone thought you was, especially after your rookie year? Or are you a huge bust? I know Jacob's going to talk about the upside, where I've been banging the drum over and over that you're a bust. So prove me wrong, Kyle Pitts. Prove me wrong. And finally, the Yankees. We found out today Cole has an MRI on his elbow, and it's just one of those things where, I've been saying if you're watching the channel, the Yankees need to sign more starting pitching, especially elite starting pitching, and they haven't. So I'm calling it right now. If they lose Garrett Cole, the Yankees are not making the playoffs. Those are my hot takes.
I know in my previous hot take, I said the United States women's national team would not win the Gold Cup, which they did. And this hot take is also going to revolve around the women's team. However, this one is in favor of them. I think they will win the next 3 World Cups. They're going to go back to back to back, a trio, a treble of World Cup victories, if you will. Why? Because they have the best women's manager coming in this summer. Emma Hayes, once the Chelsea season is over, she will be making the jump to international football, which we have covered before on the added minutes. But she's going to come in. She's going to make this team a force. They are just going to win, win, win. I'm telling you, next 3 World Cups, USA winning it. You could bet on that.
Thanks, Jordan. And these are my hot takes of the week. The Browns pulled off an absolute heist for Jerry Jeudy. This is a massive upgrade for the Browns at wide receiver 2, and it will allow Elijah Moore to fit into a more natural role as the wide receiver 3 on the team. I believe Jeudy will have his first ever 1,000-yard season this year, and that the Browns will have an elite offense now that they've improved at the wide receiver position to go along with their elite defense. Kyle Pitts is now once again a top 5 fantasy tight end. I think this time around he's actually going to be the real deal now that he's united with Kirk Cousins, who we know puts up big stats through the air, and the Falcons should have one of the best offenses in the league, and I think they're going to run away with the NFC South this season.
All right, I got some hot quarterback takes for everyone. First, Gardner Minshew will start week 1 for the Las Vegas Raiders and be a top 15 fantasy quarterback. Second, Kirk Cousins on the Falcons. You better hope that Achilles heals up, because I think he's going to be a bust this year. I don't think he's going to be healthy, that's why. But if he is fully healthy, start the season, giddy up on Kirk Cousins. Third, Russell Wilson to the Steelers. I think that's one of the best moves for him. Arthur Smith's going to run the crap out of the ball with Najee Harris and Jalen Warren, and Russell Wilson has a ton of weapons in the receiving game. And finally, Justin Fields. As of right now, he's still on the Bears. Most of the other teams already made their quarterback moves. But the Vikings, the Broncos, a few others still need a quarterback. I think he goes to the Vikings for a second-round pick. Those are my hot takes at quarterback.
All right, let's jump into a few poker hands. So we are playing 1-3 at the Orleans, and it's the very first hand at a brand new table. The Iron Gun +1 makes it 15. I look down at Pocket Kings, and I 3-bet to 58. Now the cutoff, who's an old man coffee type, he doesn't think too long, just rips his whole $300 stack in. Third gun +1 now calls, and this puts me into a blender. And I keep saying it feels like aces, especially to the old man coffee. It feels like aces, feels like aces. Finally, I say I'm not good enough to fold first hand, and I make the call, and so we go. All right, the flop is the ace of hearts, the jack of clubs, and the seven of clubs. We're all in, so we go to the turn. Turn is the six of hearts, and the river is a nine of diamonds. Run gun +1 shows ace queen of spades, and old man coffee, of course, shows pocket aces. This is only the third time ever I've debated folding pocket kings pre-flop, and every single time it's been right if I would have folded. I just sometimes wish I would trust my instincts. Have you ever folded pocket kings pre-flop? And what were some of the things you looked for and instincts that you had? Definitely leave comments below because I look forward to read them to help improve my game and others. The next poker hand, we're going to switch it up. We're playing 1-2 at WinStar now. We're in middle position with 10-8 of hearts, and a really loose under a gun player has made it $8. So we call the raise, and four others do. Of course, it's Texas poker, so we go super multi-way to a flop. The flop is the ace of clubs, the 10 of clubs, and the 10 of diamonds. It checks to me now, and I lead out for $18. I do this to disguise the strength of my hand, but also let people think maybe I'm doing it with the ace. And lower limit, so many people trips this check, and if your person been the ace and you've been playing for a while, it really makes your hand almost face up. And the cutoff in the iron gun call. The turn is a six of diamonds. It checks to me. Now I check. Again, disguise my hand, get a little tricky. Maybe I have the ace and I'm scared of the tricks. And so we go to a river. The river is a four of spades. It checks to me, and now I make it 42. Both players call. They both had an ace, and I scoop. So the importance of this is, when you flop trips, obviously you want to mix it up and not always play the same, but I think it's always best to lead because then it disguises. Are you been the 10? Are you been an ace? There was even a flush draw. Maybe, you're got a super combo draw. And I got paid by both players because I led and then checked because the way it played. Where if you're a solid player and you see someone just check calling and you let out with the ace, you usually shut it down and that person doesn't get one more penny because, their handmaids will be face up that they have the trips. So just kind of a little bit of insight to help you become a better player. The last poker hand, we're still at WinStar playing 1-2, and there's a tight rock that's under the gun, and he bets $17. And it folds to me. I'm in the low jack, and I have pocket tens, and I flat. Now there's one other really solid type player, and he's on the bun, and he three bets at 50. They're in gun, and I both flat. So we go to the flop. The flop is the queen of clubs, the jack of hearts, the 10 of diamonds. The ungun checks, I check and flow, and now the button goes all in for 140. The under a gun then goes all in for 310, and I'm hating this spot. I'm thinking someone has ace king, person has a higher set because they're player types, but I make the call. We go to a turn of the six of hearts, a river full of four of hearts, and to my surprise, the iron gun shows pocket aces. The button shows pocket kings. So we scoop with our trips in a massive pot. I think it's one of those things where I got lucky that no one, four bet after the button three bet to 50. So by the earned gun just flatting gave me a good price to just flat. Got lucky. I really didn't like that spot on the flop. Again, just it felt like ace king for sure, and that someone had maybe a bigger set, but I got lucky, and it was aces and kings, and I'm the one that hit the set. So sometimes, as I say, it's better to be lucky than good.
Rome Odunze is one of my favorite players in the draft class, and I think in any normal year he would be the top wide receiver prospect. This season I have him as my number 2 wide receiver prospect behind Marvin Harrison Jr. Odunze can do it all. He's 6'3" and over 210 pounds. He ran a 4.45 40, and he has a 39-inch vertical. He put up huge stats in college, and Odunze will be a big-time red zone target from day one in the NFL, but he can also be a problem from anywhere else in the field as he has a very good route tree and knows how to get open at every level of the field. I think he could be one of the best receivers in the league down the road, and he's definitely going to be a top 10 pick. Malik Neighbors is another great receiving prospect in this class, and he's definitely a bona fide top 10 pick as well. He is a tad bit undersized, but he makes up for that with his electrifying quickness and precise route running. He's a guy who also is a home run threat at every level of the field. He can always hit you for that big play over the top. At LSU, he put up almost 1,600 yards and 14 touchdowns. I expect that he'll be able to make an immediate impact on the field next season and put up at least similar production to Zay Flowers, if not better.
You want that plastic working come Miller time?
You know, I can foresee a lot of possible outcomes to this thing, and not a single one of them involves Miller time.
PMA. Positive mental attitude.
Welcome to Miller Time. I'm Kevin Miller with The Degenerate Gambling Life. And before I give you all these awesome running back moves that happened in the last 24 hours, I want you to go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button down below. We really appreciate your support. It means a lot to us. And without further ado, let's jump into Miller Time. All right, now that the NFL non-tampering period has begun, we saw a ton of teams make moves, specifically at the running back position today on Monday. And I'm going to go over what those moves were with you. And I will just briefly discuss if I think it helped or hurt the running back that got traded or signed. And I'll start at the top of the board with Austin Eckler going from the Chargers to the Commanders. Technically, he wasn't on a team. He was a free agent. So technically, this helps his value. But I think going to a team with Brian Robinson is going to hurt his upside. He's not going to get 15 to 20 carries a game. He's going to be used like Antonio Gibson probably in the receiving game a lot. So Austin Eckler's stock went up and down at the same time, if that makes sense. Second, Josh Jacobs went from the Raiders to the Packers. And the Packers also released Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon in the last week. So as of right now, it's the Josh Jacobs show, and I think it will stay that way. Maybe they draft a rookie, but Josh Jacobs' value went up big time. Third, Saquon Barkley. This is a big one. Went interdivision from the Giants to the Eagles. I don't know if this helps Saquon Barkley. He was all the Giants had, and now he goes to a team loaded with weapons on offense with Jalen Hurts, who's going to vulture 10 rushing touchdowns probably. I think Saquon Barkley's stock takes a hit with this move to the Eagles. Next, we have Tony Pollard going from the Cowboys to the Titans. This one was one of the most baffling ones to me, as I view him kind of similarly to Tajay Spears, and maybe the Titans think that neither Pollard or Spears can handle for a full workload, so they'll split it down the middle. But they're kind of the same player to me, and it seems like a weird one. Very weary of Pollard because I like Spears. I think there's a stock down for Pollard. Next, DeAndre Swift moving from the Eagles to the Bears. This will kind of depend on if Fields stays with Chicago or not, because if Fields goes, I think Swift's value rises. And if he doesn't, I think it stays the same. I think he's top 20 to 30 back. He's been extremely consistent over the first 4 years of his career. All right, now I'll get into some of the lesser moves, but they still are going to have fantasy impact this year. Antonio Gibson goes from the Commanders to the Patriots. Also kind of a weird move because they have Stevenson, and they're both capable of running and receiving. But I think the Patriots plan to take a quarterback, and I think a rookie quarterback, whether it be Drake May or Jaden Daniels. And I think having Stevenson and Gibson will help them lean on the run game and help that quarterback out a lot. I think that's why they made that move. Next, Devin Singletary from the Texans to the Giants. As of right now, Devin Singletary is the man in New York. But I think they'll make other moves. There's a lot of guys out there still. And I don't expect him to be a lead back the entire year on the Giants. Speaking of lead backs, Zach Moss goes from the Colts to the Bengals in a unison move as they release Joe Mixon. So right now, Zach Moss and Chase Brown are the only backs really of any note on the Bengals, and really it's just Zach Moss. I think they'll make another move because I don't think, Moss is an elite talent. I think he's serviceable, but I don't think that's going to help the Bengals at all. And finally, the last move I have that happened on Monday, Gus Edwards went from the Ravens to the Chargers. This could be a fresh start for him, but all in all, I don't see Gus Edwards staying healthy. He never really does. He always misses half of a year, a quarter of a year, injuries every year. This one is all noise to me, and I think the Chargers will still make a splash in the draft. Probably Blake Corum. Wink, wink. All right, we had the three biggest running back dominoes left fall this morning, with Aaron Jones going to the Vikings. I think this will help his stock, and he probably should be drafted as a top 15 running back, has top 5 to 10 upside. Then Joe Mixon goes to Houston. Love it for Mixon, love it for Houston. It seems like it'll be a good fit. I'd be drafting Mixon as a high-end RB2. And finally, Derrick Henry to Baltimore. I thought he might go to Dallas, but Baltimore was the other spot people were talking about, and it should be a good fit with him and Lamar and that defense. They might be a force to be reckoned with all year long. Those are the moves that happened this morning. What do you guys think?
Soccer hooligans.
Welcome back to the Degenerate Gambling Life's Adam Minutes with your boy Jordan Tennis. Sunday is usually known for football, American football, but we had some big games this past Sunday in the world of soccer. The United States women's national team took the pitch in the Gold Cup final against Brazil. If you remember from my hot take last time around, I said the United States women's national team would not be winning this tournament, and they almost fell to Canada in the semifinals. Almost. Fast forward to Sunday, and Brazil came out on the front foot, dominating most of the chances in the first 35 minutes of the game. But while they were creating chances, they were lacking in finishing. Most of their shots would sail over or wide, not really testing the USA keeper. The breakthrough goal would come in the 45th minute as the USA built up play all the way out of the back from their own keeper. The ball would find its way down the right-hand side to Trinity Rodman. Yes, the daughter of former NBA superstar Dennis the Worm Rodman. Drawing two defenders, she laid a nice easy back pass off to Emily Fox, who sent in the cross far post, which was met by Lindsey Horan, who did what she does time and time again for the United States women's national team. That's score goals. A beautiful header, and definitely swung the momentum into the favor of the host nation right before the halftime break. The game would be tight, and USA grabbed a second goal in the 79th minute, sending the stadium into a frenzy. However, it would be ruled offsides. Brazil would see some daylight, and they would continue to create chances in the final 15 minutes of the game, but they could not break through. The United States women's national team claimed the first ever Women's Gold Cup after a not-so-great start to the tournament. When their new coach Emma Hayes arrives this summer, this team could return to being a dominant dynasty of which they once were. Elsewhere in the world, we had the two top dogs going head-to-head in the English Premier League. Who was going to end the day in the top spot, Liverpool or Manchester City? Liverpool was absolutely smothering Man City in the opening few minutes, but it would be City who got on the board first, thanks to a corner kick and John Stones, who went near post and put the opener in the net. Liverpool did not take their foot off the gas and continued to create chances, more than City were able to muster up, and Liverpool would take the initiative in the second half right away. Nathan Akey played a bad pass back to the goalkeeper, and Nunez pounced, forcing the hand of City goalkeeper Ederson into a poor challenge and earning Liverpool a penalty kick. McAllister would make no mistakes and hit a great penalty past the keeper despite Ederson guessing the correct way. The game would be back and forth, and as a neutral, this was fantastic to watch. End-to-end stuff, chances going both ways, mostly for Liverpool, yet no clinical finishes. Of course, drama had to play a part late in this one. In the last minute of the game, during a scramble off a corner, McAllister tries to make a play on the ball in City's penalty area, and Doku goes to clear the ball, catching his cleat in McAllister's chest. Very interesting no call. The play was checked by VAR and deemed no error by the ref, as Doku did get a piece of the ball, but this is a call that could have gone either way. The game would end 1-1, and the beginning question was a trick question, as Arsenal won their game to leapfrog both Liverpool and City into the top spot of the league with 10 games left to play. Hope the spring forward didn't affect your guys' time and sleep too much this past weekend. We'll see you next week.
Okay, fantasy baseball. Going to briefly talk a little bit of strategy and things for you to keep mind of as the season gets closer. First up, the early rounds. If you're drafting early, be mindful of injuries. Ronald Acuna had a knee issue. It looks like it's good, but this is the second time he's had a major issue with the knee if it does pop up. And then Garrett Cole had an MRI on his elbow today. And so those are two banged up superstars. And so if you're not paying attention and you have drafts to come and you do, and they end up being out, it's one of those things that just can wreck your team, especially if you're auto drafting and you end up with them. Next, do not fall in love with a team full of potential. What I mean about that is the post hype sleeper, the rookie. Like, do not load up on rookies, post hypes, and things like that. Stay balanced. Get players that have been there along with the upside players. Nothing wrong with it, but if your whole team is nothing but upside, you could run away with it, but the odds are is you probably won't, and you're going to end up wishing and regretting that you would have had a balanced team. So those are kind of, some points for you whenever you're going into this draft for fantasy baseball. Now, I know a lot of you guys might have tuned in, and we're going to have a special episode for you guys that we're going to drop Friday, and we'll talk about our huge win at Caesars. Okay, so tune in and we'll go over that along with the other win that we had on video poker and some strategies for that. Finally, if you guys did not know, we are going to have a meetup game in Shreveport. The DGL team will be in Shreveport April 5th through the 7th. The game will be April 6th at 1 p.m. Please come out. You can play some poker with us. If you want to talk fantasy, sports, anything else, we are always willing to discuss things, have a drink with you, and have a good time. We'll be there all weekend. Finally, if you haven't yet, please hit that like, comment, and subscribe. And we look forward to your guys' comments and talking to you guys next week.